I'm tired. I'm hungry. I am very agitated. It's been far too long, people, right? Just hand over the keys. That's what we all want, right? Just hand over the keys. But no, media has to spin it. Media has to sort of provide us with stories left, right, center. But, I cannot lose my fear and emotions to clog my judgment. And, you know, guys, that you've been following this podcast, you know that I'm trying to provide you with the motion sickness pill and provide you with a platform, a voice of reasoning. So that's what we're here for. So listen, I'm not going to let my emotions clog my judgment. We're going to do this as per normal Ruby style as well, as per MUFC Realist TV. Whatever you're drinking right now, take a sip on your coffee, tea, choice of beverage. Let's do this. Let's go.
It's time to go!
Hello again, and welcome back to MUFC Realist TV and Mick Ruby. Again, I am up to my teeth. Raise your hand if you're like me. I had up to my ears about this media spin and the entire sales process. I've been covering this for numerous podcasts for the past 9 months, and I thought I'd seen it all. I thought I understood everything, but what's going on right now is just pure madness. It's no good for people's mental health. And the media outlets out there are self-entitled. In a certain way, it is the oldest strategy in PR. If you control the information, you control the world we live in. It's called divide and conquer. Making people think, wait a minute, you do this, you make them to look this way, look the other way, while they continue to rob you blind and doing shady dealings on the right way. The club has been a cash cow for the past 18 years as we know it. Not only for the Glazers, but for the Woodwards and the Mike Ashtons, who has been consultant and the mastermind in PR spinning, making the Manchester United's PR plans as maximum as possible. There's been multiple parties involved, such as banks, investors, board members, influencers, bloggers, getting the maximum return on investment, or privileged self-entitlements, right? Towing the same line, getting information and money to create stories for you as fans to look the other way. You got to ask your question, why? Is an old song that tells you all. Like it's all about the Glazer strategy. You spin me like a record, round, round, round. It is pretty much to point the best in class curveball spinners that's around in the industry and the deal makers. To avoid the tax as much as you can, creating shell corporations. Advised by some investor banks, JP Morgans, Rothschilds, Davos Group, all them jazz club. You know what I mean? It's the billionaire that sits and dines at the same table at the Davos Club and, Economic World Forum, without going into further details. And one more, they are profiting and they continue to keep you engaged and keep you hopeful. Just take one evidence, for instance. Just put yourself as a fan. The transfer market is one of the biggest spinsters in Glazer's history as well, and under the Woodward area as well. And Mike Ashton, is one of the biggest evidence that you can actually find when you see that we are linked to so many players just to keep you happy and engaged and on your toes. But what we are not really doing is getting that player, right? It's just for the share clicks and engagements to keep you happy. That is what called divide and conquer. If you look at the media today, right? It's the same with the publications, right? They have direct line with the club, basically. It's a win-win situation. While we are the ones as a fan base, as consumers of the game, getting hurt, because we are the customers, with mental health issues. I have a problem with this. Why are you doing this? Ask yourself the question. Why do they don't want a foreign entity to take over? While selling the pipe dream of the local British billionaire, who Wasn't even at the FA Cup final while the Sheikh Jassim was there, right? The answer is exactly what I told you just now. It's called self-entitlements, people. It is the fear of losing out after 18 years of lucrative relationships and revenues. You know, shame on you. That's what I'm saying. If you're looking, shame on you for looking the other way. Shame on you for betraying Manchester United and your loyal customers, which is the fan base. I have one thing to say, and this is a saying. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But a fool cannot be fooled again. We've seen it so many times before as a fan base. We have woken up, we have seen it with our own eyes. It's right there in front of us. Guys, we have a jam-packed podcast today to debunk. Please take a drink on your coffee or whatever you're preferring, and we will be back in 10 seconds. I'm angry, but let's debunk this together.
Has the Premier League ever been more challenging?
Dankjewel. I feel welcome. Dit is mijn home and I want to achieve success. Okay?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't help myself by being emotional, people. I just can't help myself. And you got to feel the same situation, what we're feeling today. I mean, there's a lot of things that's been spinning around in the ether. And there's a lot of you that's in the comments. So big up to all of you. Before we kick off the show, let me just shout out some people that are in the chat. Lucky Singh is here. Jamie Vane is a moderator. Faddy's here. A lot of you. Jarvis is coming. Quad Sports Carl. Big up to all of you. Global fan base around the world. Zorro, Mitic from Serbia. God, there's so many of you. And what I'm going to do here, I think I'm going to call it a call-in show later on as well. But before we kick off the show as well, I want to give a big shout out to 1958. You know, that's been brilliant in fighting the Glazers for many years, and also United Against the Glazers social media accounts as well. Big up for all of you. Shout out. If you haven't followed them account on Twitter, just please go ahead and follow them ASAP. Now, what we're going to do here today, guys, of course, this I'm going to share the link later on for people that want to call in and have a say. But at the moment, I'm kind of totally alone. I have some moderators in the background. And what I'm going to do is kind of debunk what's been said over the past couple of days at least, because it certainly spins you very dizzy, leaves you with mental health issues. I've been bombarded over WhatsApp. I've been bombarded over Twitter. And where lies the truth? You know, is it Sheikh Jassim? Is it Sir Ineos or Sir Ratcliffe? The truth lies always in the middle. But the question is, you know, what is the truth? And will you ever find out the truth? We're going to debunk a brilliant interview done by our friends at the Stretford Paddock with Kieran Maguire as well. I'm going to debunk what he said as well for hypothetical theories. But at the end of the day, as per usual, applying logic and reasoning and some certain skill sets and knowledge that we do have obtained. And therefore, it's so important for you guys, as you are the video assistant referees there, to sort of have a say, have a comment. Please smash a like on this video if you like it. You know, leave a comment as well. We are here as a global fan base to interact and, you know, basically provide a voice of reasoning, you know, because mental health is such an important factor. You know, I want you to stay calm, beautiful, and mental. Don't be rude to each other. Be nice to each other on socials. Be patient, because sales is coming, people. Sales is coming. So big shout out to 1958 and United Against the Glazers, first and foremost. So just bring it up today. Like, you know, we all came back to the, you know, on the FA Cup final day that, you know, came out from Financial Times, as we know. Like, you know, they came out with the scaremongers stories to say that, you know, oh my God, Glazers are looking with Ineos to keep the 6 siblings. Yeah, really? And that felt like domino effects, basically. Like, you know, it was like wildfire. Everyone was starting to tweet it, like, you know, It was just sheer madness, and it was just on the day, on particular when we were playing in the FA Cup. Right? Have you seen this stories happening before? We have Mike Ashton appointed by ex Woodward to be the mastermind of spinning plates like a mad DJ on the substance, some illegal substance, just to spin it out, like, or some instances being leaked out by a certain bidder as well. It is a gamemanship, as we know, that's been handled like a shadow bidding. Like, I particularly live in Scandinavia, and there's a site, a consumer site called Stradera, right? Which means that you can bid for an object. Like, let's say if you want to buy the latest Samsung phone, right? But you don't really want to pay big money for it. So there's a site where people are selling it on a sort of shadow bidding auction, and the time is ticking, right? So let's say you put in £100 for it, and then you just watch it, right? As the time ticking, you might sort of increase with another £5, £10. At the end of the day, when the clock finish, boom, it's sold, right? This is kind of similar to what shadow bidding is doing. So, God, this is kind of the worst thing that I've ever seen in 20 years of my professional career. Like, outlets coming out today say fifth bid, Sheikh Jassim is going to increase. We've seen that Ineos is in the pole position. We're going to dive right into that, people. Don't worry. Don't worry, because that's what we do here on this platform, guys. This is what we do here. On the other hand, as well, we're all seeing this over the course of the sales takeover since it was announced in November that United is looking for strategical investments. We've seen, props and media and, some think tank organization that thinks it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea, It's okay for Newcastle to have state-backed ownerships, or Abu Dhabi sponsoring themselves and City in cheating, but it's not okay for Manchester United to be owned by a Qatari entity that is not state-backed. And they go with the telling you the stories about, human rights issues and, all that jazz, sports washing. Hypocrites. On the same time, the same journalist was invited for the World Cup in Qatar, paid first class tickets to fly to Qatar, wine and dine in the nice fine restaurants, and still come back and write shit, right? Why is it so, people? Why is it so? Ask yourself the question. Don't be led by the headlines, right? Because surely if you read the headlines, that sort of sucks you in, right? Negativity sells. We all know that, But when you start reading this story that they're writing, it's just recycling. It is basically they're just updating the headline, people, right? We've seen it. It's out there. You cannot lie, right? Right? It's just what I'm trying to say, like, don't let the fear emotions clog your own judgment. Use your common sense, logic, and reasoning, right? And then we had another story to come out to say that, Manchester United takeover Sheikh Jassim could pull out, right, to avoid, an awkward scenario. Let me just backtrack that story, right? For you guys to been watching my podcast, and for all of you that's been following the sales process, we follow the money, we follow with logic and reasoning, we do forensic investigation, we speak to people close to Sheikh Jassim's camp, try to obtain information from Ineos camp, and try to source information from the club as well. We know that we said that, if Qatar enters something, a bid, if they go public, they will seldom lose. But there is like that Tradera situation that I'm saying with the shadow bidding, is that you don't go in all in, to say, I bid you 8 billion right now. No, you go in lower and then wait a little bit longer. At the end of the day, you got money, money is not an issue for you, but you just want to know what is the price, right? What is that you want, Glazers, right? We're willing to buy you 100%, while this other Ratcliffe Ineos are being the one that's kind of delaying the sales process by dithering. You know what I mean? What dithering meaning that I can't really afford to buy out 100%. I know that I have stiff competition over there, and in order to stay in line, in order to pull out, I need to take Viagra. It is a stiff competition. I'm sorry for that analogy, but that is the way it is, right? If you cannot afford to give the Glazers what you want, you structure a deal on giving them 3 billion right now, and then give the rest of the Glazers within 3 years down payment plan, but you're not really clearing the debt either, are you? So why the hell are you in the race? Why are you doing this for? Is this for the twilight of your career? Like, you're reaching 74, right? Viagra doesn't help anymore. So what gets you hard is to own the club of Manchester United, which you claim, Sir Jim, that is your boyhood dream. Yet again, you didn't appear on the FA Cup. You are a season ticket of, Chelsea. XYZ. We are also seeing reports that you're not a very good, responsible owner of Nice club as well. It's been a lot of gamesmanship, people. It's been a lot of shit going on, right? But the truth is always hidden under the carpet. That is why I'm trying to protect you guys with as well. Right. So today, actually, if you look at it, all kudos to Mike Keegan, right? Who, according to my opinion, in the beginning of this process was kind of spot on, right? Right? Or am I wrong? Coming out today, that's sort of major breaking news that Sheikh Jassim has submitted a fifth, let me just remember this word, fifth bid for Manchester United. It's kind of an improved offer that comes with Friday deadline. Again, Friday deadline. Who is creating these deadlines? Who is creating this attention to make it sound like it's a transfer market, to keep you on the toes? After then, offer stands, but no further engagement or in negotiation. Strong desire to provide transfers once it's done. Yes. 92 Foundation wants it done. They've been wanting it done for months. But the ones that have been slowing it down is the confusion by Ineos, by providing them with twists and terms and curveballs to say, look, you know what? Here's for keeping Joel and Avram in, blah, blah, blah. We will pay you off and lucrative deal. We add on a premium buyout clause within 3 years that you might get $30 per share. But right now, that's not a guarantee for you. On the other hand, you had Sheikh Jassim that's going in 100%. 100% to buy the old siblings out, the grandchildren, all them jazz, plus more, right? That is the cleanest deal, plus clearing the debt and invest in infrastructure, right? But no, this has to drag on because the Glazers are confused. Just remember that they inherited this business from Malcolm, right? 2015. And Malcolm has always been that person that never invested one single penny from his own pocket. Even the Buccaneers, it took 130 million loan to buy the Buccaneers. And that, my friends, has also grown up to 360 almost million in debt. Similar with Manchester United. Similar. By default, he became the owner because this guy's, yeah, man, we know this story. We're not gonna, go there. But Rupert Murdoch, could not do it because it was a conflict of interest in certain ways. So by default, it ended up in his lap. And who was there to orchestrate this deal was actually Ed Woodward. Ed Woodward, right? Now, Ed Woodward is gone, so that lifeline is gone. But for the past 18 years, all these media outlets, lawyers, bankers, we've seen it. They've all been doing it for the profit. Everyone profits. And now you're kind of wondering why they don't want a foreign entity to be in control of Manchester United. Ask yourself the question, why? It's simple. Business, money, 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 money. Follow the money. Simple as that. These publications and journalists, they might get briefed, right? Sure, you can pay them a little bit of money. It's the oldest trick. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. You publish what I want the people to read. It's called divide and conquer, right? If you control the information flow out there, if you are like sheep reading it, only the headlines, you fall for it. 100%. Smash a like if you believe so too. But then on the other hand, if it goes to a foreign entity, that lifeline disappears all of a sudden. For 18 years, you've been privileged to sell your publications, getting briefed from certain club officials, XYZ, right? And not even forget the banks that are involved here, like the investment banks, right? Even the board members that sit there. Why are you sitting there for 10 years not saying anything? It's taboo to call, Sir Jim sorry. Should I even go there, right? You see David Gill there, you see it hurts me to say, but Sir Alex is also sitting there, part of the board for 10 years. Why is he not done anything, right? Of course, they've been paying him big money. They've been paying those people to sit there as props, as fake board members, paying them millions just to keep quiet. Why, on the other hand, we're robbing the club? But look this way, people. Look, there's new shiny toy. We're signing Rafael Varane, Casemiro, Frankie de Jong, and all that things. On the background, we continue robbing you. But we kick the can as far as we can because the finances is showing that we cannot continue anymore. It's the end of the road with the bank crisis, the credit crisis. We're seeing the biggest crisis in the world at the moment, with a lot of banks defaulting. Banks want the money back, right? Bank of America, JP Morgan, all them jazz. It's all credit taken by the Glazers. And that credit line needs to come back by 2024, 25. Of course, some people may argue that Bank of America is kind of on the list of banks that cannot fall, but still, you need to operate as a club by FFP standards, meaning that you need to clear the debt in order to go in the transfer market. And we've seen that funds has been pledged for Ten Hag to go in the market. But I believe that Ten Hag is not on the pay grade. He's been told certain information. He's frustrated. He wants to succeed. He wants to go to the transfer market. But we are actually acting like a club. As we've seen on the reports in the transfer market, we're going after Kim Min-jae, we're going after Højlund, Kane, all that stuff, making pre-arranged agreements. So something is happening. So my people ask, is the club already been sold and agreed? Well, let's debunk this as well, people, right? Let's debunk this. I'm just going up by Lawton, right? From the Times today came out to say, Sir Jim Rattcliffe and Ineos have entered the final stage of negotiations with Rain Group to take over. And on the right there, you see same person, Matt Lawton, saying Sheikh Jassim will withdraw from the process if the fifth and final offer for Manchester United is not accepted by Friday. By Friday. That reads to me like the fear that Ratcliffe Ineos have won. They're walking away with their own terms. That said, nothing is signed yet. Okay, using these big words like, and assumptions that reads to me that the fear that Ratcliffe and Ineos have and will be the winning bid. Nothing is signed yet. Okay, let's park that bus, people. Let's park that bus. I see there's a lot of comments, but I cannot. I am totally alone in this studio. I need to go through this presentation and then we will take your comments. Is that okay? Now, Bloomberg, which is one of the Financial Times, and Bloomberg that I highly respect as well, because I tend to follow the money. Also towing the same line to say Qatar Sheikh Jassim has submitted the fifth bid for Manchester United. Right? Okay. Fifth bid. Mark this word fifth bid and mark this word deadline. So who set that deadline? Is it that Sheikh Jassim has said, I'm tired. What's going on here? I'm tired. Make up a decision. I feel that we have put in a substantial proposal, 100% for all of you to walk away and be happy. Why are you doing this? Why? This might be so. Not sure. But let's depack this as well. Right? But here comes the interesting part. Right. One cannot be fooled again, as I said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, but a fool cannot be fooled again. Because if you go back in timeline, in middle of May, there was the fifth bid. So how come this can be the fifth bid again? How come? Is it a sixth bid or fifth bid? Or is it just the media just dithering? Honest to God, it's right there. Manchester United takeover. Sheikh Jassim makes decision submitting a fifth bid to the Glazers. This was published 17th of May. Where are we now? 7th of June. and they're still saying fifth bid. Does this make any sense to you? No. Think about that. Think about that. Let that sink in. Is it fifth or is it sixth or is it just the media making it up? According to my opinion, as I always said, Sheikh Jassim, they put a substantial bid that was way, way, way over the evaluation. Some reports saying about 7 billion. I have not cited it. That is 7.3, 7.4 billion. On the other hand, the ones that thought they were in upper hand, has been negotiating, the lawyers of Ineos has been negotiating back and forwards with the Glazers in the Rainy Group following the process to structure certain deals because they cannot outbid this Jassim guy. Simple as that. Glazeronomics. Money on the table is the one that wins. But if you structure it to a certain degree that you are confused and then coming out in the ether to say that all siblings wants to stay and then two siblings wants to stay, we don't know what's going on here, right? It does not make any sense. Why will these two Glazers clowns sit there with no voting power, just hoping that one day, within 3 years, Manchester United stock will go up and we will make those 7 billions? No. There's a simple mathematics, like if you have 6 siblings in voting power, 4 elephants versus 2 weighs heavier, correct? Right? So for 4 siblings that we know, they don't want to be part of this club anymore. They don't want to be part, they want to cash in. It's just the 2, Joel and Avram, that wants to see that. They want to let go. They don't want to pull out. They're having a time of their life, right? They know their milk is dry, but that's why they went to the market to see if they can find strategical investors. Oh, we found Sir Jim. We're best friends with Sir Jim. We dine at the same table at the Davos Club. That's what it is. They know each other. They know each other. They try to structure certain deals to sort of make it sort of divide and conquer, so Sir Jim could actually have 51%, be the face forward, while they still sit there in the background sucking us dry still. But the fans has kind of woken up to that, haven't they? We're not buying that shit. That is kind of another Houdini act, what is the Glazer acts. They are masterminds in illusions and creating the most famous now you see me, now you don't tricks. Does that ring any bell to you people? Does that ring any bell? For me, it does, right? But that was kind of caught out and found out, and there was some, sniffs within the board that found out about it, and there was a no vote of confidence, including the minority shareholders, which is Bowen Group and Lindsay Train and all that stuff. That was voting it out. No, you're not having it because you've been running this club down to the knees. We don't have any liquidity. We need liquidity. We need cash injection now, right? Why would you go with Ineos and this deal will take forever to negotiate? And even if it went through, there will still be challenges for the board and the shareholders, if it will still be public, to vote this down with another vote of confidence. And the cycle will go on and on and on and on and on again, right? Are you with me? Am I making sense? I hope so. So at the end of the day, it comes down to Erik ten Hag on the FA Cup, guttering to see that these 3 horsemen, I'm covered. I don't want to display this ugly person's face. And I'm sorry, YouTube algorithm, but I'm absolutely furious that Erik ten Hag had to shake the hand of that sleazeball there, right? And then you have David Gill and Sir. I just don't want to look at this picture, right? This breaks my heart. Sir Alex there as well. Those 2 guys, why haven't you said anything? For 10 years, you've been sitting on that board as well. Question mark. I mean, we're here to provide critical thinking, but I'm not here to call you guys out. You're legends of the club. I love you. Always will. Thank you for everything that you've done, but I'm critical in certain ways while you've been sitting there collecting your money by sitting on the board, right? I'm not sure how much money they're getting paid, but surely they could have done something different. Surely that the, ex-legends and the pundits that we see now could have raised their voice more. But it's all about money, people. Manchester United is the biggest cash cow for everyone. If you know what I'm getting at. media, banks, pundits, social media accounts. It's just disgusting. I've never seen this in my whole life, in my 20 years career. I've seen a lot of shady shit. I've seen a lot of shady transactions. But when you dive deep into Manchester PLC, you thought that Barcelona was shady? Come on. If Manchester United PLC is carved up in many shell organizations trading under Cayman Island accounts, protected, it's hard to follow the money, right? Seriously. And if you sell the club anyway, that is tax-free, going to the 6 siblings. So all it comes down to, people, it is basic terms. How much money are we going to get to walk away, right? We're pretending that whatever, not really interesting to sell this club, but hey, if you put me 7-8 billion on the table, we will consider it, right? You feel me, right? Cool. So that's where we are at the moment, according to my opinion as well. That the deal has been done. According to my opinion, it's just dithering just try to make an opinion. Glazer's been in town on the FA Cup. Everyone was gathered over the weekend as well. There is no 5th or 6th bid. It's pretty much marginal adjustments, according to my opinion, in terms of the buyout and earn-out clauses. And, we know that, Bloomberg has kind of reported that, it is, Ineos is buying, the majority of the shares, which gives them 51%, and the remaining remains with the minority investors and potentially some of the Glazers, while, Qatar and 92 Foundation is buying the whole lot, plus adding on some extra sweetening deals. Now, funny, we reported this way long back ago, and the sweetening of the deal is pretty much to say that, hey, Glazers, you give us the club now, we give you the opportunities to have further continuous investments in our country. We give you land, we build your stadium, you can host the NFL, a lot of sports that we have in plan, and you can have exclusive rights and broadcasting. That was also reported in the media this week. And this is what we've been saying for the past month, at least, in this podcast as well. So it is confusing. And me as a fan, I want the truth. I want the truth to come out there. But, it's like The Few Good Men. You remember that movie. You can't handle the truth. I want the truth. With Jack Nicholson and what's it called? Not Tom Hanks. Please, you know which movie I mean. Mission Impossible guy. I'm just so upset right now. But it's a scene where they are in court, and Tom says to Jack Nicholson, "I want the truth," and the colonel says, "You want the truth? You can't handle the truth." It's beyond over our pay grade, people. What's going on there in the billionaires clubs? Because we're just spectators, according to my opinion. What's going on, that's a different level. When you're up in the Sheikh Jassim's levels and on them, you're controlling the world, you're controlling the media, controlling the spins, and when you are at Ineos as well, you have fracking deals that you own as well. And matter of fact, they own the rights under the land under the Old Trafford as well, which has gas reserves and potential in the future which they can frack. Nobody's talking about that either. And who owns that? Well, it's Ineos, to be honest. So guys, I just wanted to shout out to all of you. I haven't had the opportunity to look at the chat. I'm probably going mental. But big shout out to 1958 and United Against the Glazers and everyone that's been involved, including the spaces, who you are, Mike, Rizzo, everyone. So I'm here joined also by my co-host, that it is time to say goodbye. It is. And let me just bring him into the screen. Good morning. Good afternoon, Jarvis. How are you, sir?
Hello. How are you all
Hi.
doing?
I'm emotional and upset, but I always say, Jarvis, that I never let my fear and emotions clog my judgment. But today was just I reached the pinnacle of my patience, to be honest. It's been dire what the media has been doing. And when you've done all these investigations and the shit that goes on behind this deal, Of course, it's the biggest club. It's $1 billion, prize money, award money for the billionaires to acquire. It's a bragging right at the end of the day, But we are a club. Don't forget, Jarvis, we are a club, and we need to go forward. Erik ten Hag needs to be backed, And what's dragging us down is a particular bid that's been going back and forwards. We have a saying, Jarvis, if you're with me, where I'm come from, at least. I'm currently living in Scandinavia. You live in Norway, right? Yes.
Yeah.
We have a saying, in terms of confidence, because there's been numerous reports coming out to say that, Ineos is very, very confident they're going to get this bid, right? And why is it so? Why? Qatar has been quiet because the confidence as well. But we have a saying is that the one that shouts the loudest is the one that's lacking confidence. Have you heard that one?
Yeah, I know
So
what
you're
you
making
mean.
too much. Yeah, you know what I mean. So you know that you cannot compete against this one that has a Ferrari and a petrol station, and you just want to buy the Ferrari, but you can't run the Ferrari, right? So you know that the only way you can do it is to go out and smear campaign and shout loud, right? As your child, you play in the sandbox. We all went to school, and there was always that bullish kid that was the loudest, but deep down he was insecure, or she was insecure and weak, right? And insecure. And you just have to look at that way as well. And the other hand is that the certain outlets and media have no Scooby-Doo and still coming out. If you see what I said there, they're coming out with, say, this the fifth and improved bid. Actually, it should be then the sixth bid, because now they outed themselves, because I just proved them back in 17th of May. They wrote the same shit. Oh, it's a fifth bid.
Yeah. It's hard to keep up with all those bids. It's kind of ridiculous when you talk about it and you break it down as you do now, Mick. And for me, it's hard to believe, hard to understand what to believe, because it's so much information and it's basically the same over and over again. So I'm glad that you're debunking it and breaking it down.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the story about the Pied Piper, right? The flute of Pied Piper. So this is what it is, So people don't follow the flute of Pied Piper for your own mental sanity, because if you do, you're going to end up falling off that cliff, and I don't want you to do that, right? That's the reason why we have this platform, to provide you a voice of reasoning. I care about the club as much as you. I want this resolution as much as I want. And I've been getting some message also, you're pro Qatari, or well, I always said I keep my powder dry. I want what's best for the club, right? And what's best for the club, according, if I evaluated the manifestos, it's weighing towards Qatar, because it offers everything. So of course I'm going to be there, right? I don't want any debt. I don't want to have these shady deals with Glazers running around in the background, And there's a thing, why, if you are a Manchester United fan, as you said, Ratcliffe, why are you doing this? Is it just because of your pure ego that you're running around the twilights of your career? You want to have a legacy before you die, and you said it yourself in interviews that David and I, we always want to own a Premier League club or a Premier club, and Manchester United is not for sale, and they're owned by Joel and Avram, and they're the nicest of people, and they're 6 siblings, and yeah, you said that in the interview. We heard you loud and clear. Yeah. But at the end of the day, at least what you're creating, these smoke screens and media outlets, and to say that at the end of the day, if you lose the bid, to say, hey, at least we tried, And then rest assured they will go and bid for a West Ham or something else, because they want to own a Premier League club. Yeah. And what better way is to own the crown jewel of British football, right? The biggest fan base, right? But if you cannot compete, if you cannot have those investments, if you're going to bankroll it, and it's just so complicated, it's going to take time and time again, And I believe that this deadline is kind of been set then by Sheikh Jassim to say, look, I had enough, right? Make up your mind. And matter of fact, it's been a broken communication, Jarvis. This is on face value what I have. That the Qataris, led by Shabazz and the negotiation team, was frustrated with this shadow bidding. They never was given what is that you want, what is the price, right? It went on and on and on, bid more, this thing. So they kind of, it's true that they bypassed the Rain Group, because at the end of the day, Rain Groups gets a commission anyway, right? They say, screw you guys, we're going straight to the horse's mouth. went to the Glazers to say how much, right? Right. It comes down to that final shadow bidding thing. They say, I have money, but I'm not going to give you all of them money straight away, right? I'm going to wait to the final end, right? Is everyone has been bidding on this shadow biddings object side. Like in Sweden, we have this Tradera, right? Which you actually bid for a phone. Yeah. Oh, you see a phone for 100 quid, right? You put a bid in, right? And the clock is ticking, within 24 hours. And then you come back in the last second and you throw in like an extra 10 pounds or something. And somebody else is just like, boom. This is a similar situation where they're playing these tactics to say, look, you know what? We have endless of money. No problems. Money is not a problem, but we don't want to be fooled, right? You guys haven't been playing fair against us either. So frustration, go straight to the horse's mouth, negotiate it, say, how much do you want to walk away for everyone, plus the extra deals, right? So if you got to look at it, what is the cleanest? The cleanest is to break it, take the money, go invest in something else, go invest in Liverpool forever. They need investors. You know what I mean? Or Spurs, right? Buy Spurs here, right?
Why
But
not?
leave us alone. True.
Mick, I have a question about this. They are 6 siblings.
Yeah.
Everybody, do they own the same share?
No.
Same amount? No, it's not the same.
No. Do you want to know exactly? Because then I have to pull up the
No, not
file.
exactly.
You can
But
keep talking
basically,
while I pull it.
basically they own about 60% of the club, or 61.
Yeah, hang on. Keep talking while I'm just pulling out
Because why I'm asking is because if Sheikh Jassim goes directly to the Glazers and want to buy, he just say screw Rainy Group. And is it hard for them to make up their mind since they are all 6, or
no,
do they negotiate with just one of the siblings?
I'm trying just to just pull up this file. Yeah, I will tell you exactly what it is, right? Right now, I have it right now here. If you want to know the breakdown, right? Joe Glazer holds 19.11%. Okay, if you can notice down, Darcy Glazer holds 18.15%. Right, Brian Glazer holds 17.23. Avram only holds 14.38. And then you have Kevin Glazer that holds 13.77. Edward Glazer's 12.99. Plus Ed Woodward has holds about 0.05% in Class B shares. But also Glazer families owns about 4.3 of the 31% Class A public float. I hope this makes sense. So all in all, what you're looking at is to, what's Sir Ineos, or I don't even know why I'm calling Sir Ineos. He's looking just to buy the majority of the shares, like the shares. That's it. So he will buy 51% to have full control. So that means that the remaining of the shares can be remain within the Glazers, right? And when you have those, when Malcolm died, he distributed it in his will, of course, right? Darcy is the second, the most influential. She wants to sell. Brian wants to sell. Everyone wants to sell except Avram and Joel, right? But then you have that quarrel, the sibling quarrel, if you know what I mean. Have you ever sort of tried to share a cake if you have 6 siblings, right? It's got to be equal piece, right? And of course, there's going to be quarrels. But at the end of the day, as I said, 4 elephants are heavier than 2. So when it comes down to, you have to agree, all of you, and 4 weighs higher than more than 2, right? 4 elephants is heavier than 2 ants. I hope that makes sense. So of course it's been, according to my analysis from what I've been discovered as well, is that Ratcliffe's camp, they identify the weakest link, right? That was kind of emotional for Joel and Avram, that they'd be the only one invested in the club because they kind of see the future, what this might bring. You have this new VR glasses coming in where you can, Apple just released it, where you can have the VR, the real-time experience. Like, your player's going to wear the cams here. You can sit in K-stand in Old Trafford. You have to pay for it, XYZ, right? So So to be honest, like, that's what's been the hold up, right? Because it's been so complex. Like, if you identify those two clowns as the weakest link, you got to cater towards the feeling and emotions, right? Well, what if, let's hold on. Like, there's never been like an exclusivity bidders in this process. It's been like, yeah, we will run with two guys here, two camps, 92 and Ineos together, right? No exclusivity. It's just been outbidding each other. But what it comes down to at the end of the day, the truth lies in the middle, and that is the bucket of cash that comes on the table, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm trying to wrap my head around this, and you have the 6 siblings. All of them have like from 11% up to 18%, if I get the numbers
Yeah.
right, basically. And the thing is, if they go with the bid directly to the owners themselves,
Yeah, but they own
we're talking about like billions of
they own
of dollars.
69% of the overall shares out there, when 31 is floating out in the public with the class A, class B, and part of those 31% is two majority investors, which is Lindsay Train and Boeing Group, right?
Yeah,
they have a fair say on what's going on as well. Yes.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you go with the bid directly to 6 siblings, it's we're talking about billions of dollars.
Yeah.
So we have to go through lawyers, and they
Yep.
have to agree, and everything it's a big
100%.
process. So
It is.
we are expecting this to be like a transfer saga, but
100%.
basically it's a much more complex deal
Oh, yeah.
with a lot of billions. So
Oh, yeah.
maybe that's why it takes so long. Everybody has to like make up their mind. They have to run it through their lawyers. They have to discuss by themselves, agree, and all of that. So it's basically it's going to be hard. And then again, if they come with the bid, how do you agree that cake? How many pieces do they get each of the
But
siblings?
that's why you're coming down to the end. I mean, we cover this in this podcast. Like, okay, they went to for strategical investment. They already started this in November. So it's been ongoing for 6 months and more, right? It's normal timeline, but for most people that work in finance and financial experts, can arguably say that you can compare this to Chelsea, which was a public bid that took 3 months, right? It was rushed because they needed to renew the Premier League license as well to stay afloat as well. So that's why they went that way. And we saw that Ratcliffe was also kind of allegedly bidding late, but this has gone far more too long as well. It's never been a linear process or bilinear. It's just been like certain fixed parameters, like deadlines what media's been creating. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to what is the biggest bid at the end of the day. So I certainly believe that this has already been past all that with the director's fitness test and all that stuff, right? Everything has just been done. It's just a minor tweaks, because by logic, it's been way over 6 months, and you have the Rainy Group, which is best in class in doing such a brokerage as well. So the rest is just silence. Some people call it NDA. There's certain information that you cannot leak on NDA. And some media has just been creating this, I don't know, a cash cow spinster, because this is the scoop of the century, right? So for me, all roads points towards one way only, and I'm going to go into that later. But I'm very afraid to say what I want to say, because it's very, very damaging, because for me, it's always been Glazers out, 100% full sale only, right? And this is what we've been fighting for, with 1958 and all the groups and united against the Glazers, and this is what matters. But listen, I don't know. There's over 200 comments in the chat. I don't have time, people, to look at it. But if there's any super chats or anything, Jarvis, please feel free, because what I wanted to do here as well is to take it to the next level as well. Because I also want to debunk what Kieran Maguire said on our friends' podcast, the paddock, with Joe Smith and our friends over there as well. Because why reinvent the wheel, if he's already been there? So I'm going to run through what Kieran said there, and we're going to debunk it together, what it means. Because hypothetically, yes.
Yeah, we have we have a new member.
Oh, Fatty. Oh, thank you, Fatty, for supporting me, for becoming a member. Big up to you, Fatty. I mean, I don't call you fatty. I'm certainly believe you're skinny. Seriously. Sorry, VR room. Give me a
and for people who want to become a member, you can just hit the description of the stream,
Yes,
And
we are not.
you will find
We're
the
not like the
information.
Glazers. We don't take dividends, but we do take your likes because obviously running this channel takes a lot of time. So if you want to become and support this channel, please free. There's a level of membership. We just launched this, but if you like this content, please hit the like button. Right, as many likes as possible. It's green and gold until we're sold, and feel free. Also subscribe if you haven't. Stephanie Griffiths saying Glaze is not interested in United, just themselves and money. Qatar should bluff to walk away and watch the parasites run after them. Exactly, just looking for more money. Either they can also be that way, because if you know the Glaze's financial situation, they're owing about 1.6 billion in debt, in accumulation with the Buccaneers business with Manchester United. Banks are knocking on the door. They want the money back by 2024. You have no liquidity. What are you going to do, right? So if you know this as a bidder, like, of course you're going to wait, right? It's a gamemanship, Stephanie, as well, right? But at the end of the day, if you flip the logic to the current situation in the financial market, you know that they don't have any way out. No sane investor is going to give you money, right? Even if Ineos is going to give you 1.5 billion now and a little bit like a structure that way. What about the money for the infrastructure? What about clearing the debt? What about the FFP? What about the transfer market? So many question marks that is kind of leading to this delay as well, according to my opinion. But I certainly believe that everything behind the scenes, because it's beyond our pay grade. I think it's been, agreed, accepted, fine-tuned, and it's just going to be interesting to see how much this club will be sold for. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes like astronomical figures, right? At the end of the day, Jarvis, that you see something like 8 billion, right? Sick.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the ones to profit is the bloody leeches. And this is the ironical part. They never invested one single penny of their own, and they're walking away with this. Any smart business owner would just go like, whoa, I didn't invest much money. I inherited this business from my father, and I'm walking away with $1 billion in my pocket each. Woohoo, whoopsie days. Do you get my point as well?
Yeah. I agree.
Glazers must be, Dan Smith is saying, Glazers must remember most of the worldwide fan base won't buy United merchandise to do with them if they'd stay with Ratcliffe. True, Dan. True. Dan, park your thoughts, because I wanna run this. I wanna run this with interesting what Kieran Maguire was saying. So let us just look into it and comment on Kieran Maguire's as well. Are you ready to do this, Jarvis, as well? People,
Ready.
big up for all of you. Smash a like. How many likes we are? Let's get over to 100 likes in this video. Let's spread the message. Green and gold until we're sold. No more Glazers. No to the rat. No to any business that wants to acquire us and run us like a business. Enough is enough, basically. I had enough. So let's judge. This is very interested, and I've been watching this over and over again, and I've been analyzing. But this is theoretical, hypothetical speaking.
It's messy. There's no justification on the Glazer side. That they bought the club for next to nothing.
Yes.
They're all going to make a lot of money.
True. That's what we said. They're all going to make a lot of money.
I think in terms of why people are saying Jim Rattcliffe is ahead, is that if some of the leaks are correct, then either 2 of the Glazer children or all 6 of the Glazer children could end up with shares and money.
The question is, again, who's leaked that information? We talked about it. If there's Ineos in bed with the Glazers, it's coming from the Ineos camp, 100%.
And Jim Rattcliffe ends up with 51% of the votes. So if that is the case, then in theory, the Glazers, should Manchester United's value increase, will be able to A, get cash now, and B, get cash later. Especially if it's a buyout as well, where you've got what we refer to as put and call options.
Yeah, the put and call option. This is what we're talking about, the buyout option with the premiums, right? So basically what exactly what I've been saying is now what Kieran is also saying, that, you get a small amount of money and then you make a discussion of premium, what it would be within 3 years, like, put and call option.
And the way that these operate is the Manchester United share price now is probably about $18.70, right, where it could be that in 3 years, Jim Rattcliffe has the option to buy the Glazers out at an agreed price of, say, $30 a share, or the Glazers can force him to buy them out at $30 a share.
So yeah, Glazers can force him then after 3 years. That's what we don't know with this. But they've been sort of talking with the Ineos lawyers, like there's been proposals going back and forward. Can be a clause in there to say, after 3 years, you have to buy us on X amount of money, right?
Under those circumstances, they make even more cash, and that's all they've done from day one, as far as their relationship with Manchester United is concerned. Is used it as a cash vehicle.
Yes, that's what we've been saying all along. From day one, they've been using, not only them being using United as a cash vehicle, but all this media publication, everyone that's been involved is equally guilty, according to my opinion, to utilize Manchester United's name and our club dragging us down in the mud for cash profits, right? Enough is enough, Jarvis and people. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Smash a like, please, and leave a lot of comments because that helps.
So this whole Ratcliffe and the Glazers kind of working together and having this ongoing ownership, sort of shared ownership situation. Just to put it into sort of layman's terms for me, and as
not only for me, for the whole entire fan base. This is a good question by Joe, by the way.
Here, would the Glazers have any say whatsoever in the running of the club day to day? And also, would it be a sort of compulsory purchase? This thing that you mentioned there. Obviously, you don't know the exact details, and this is all rumours and leaks at this point. But would it be a case where the Glazers can still get together? Would they still have a seat on the board? Like, how do these things work? And is this sort of common practice where, a sale of this magnitude, some of the owners might stay on for a little bit with a reduced share? What sort of paint the picture of how this actually looks as a Man United fan? What will I be seeing as the owners and the controllers of Manchester United if this were to go ahead?
Right. If Sheikh Jassim's bid is successful, he buys all of the shares from the Glazers, all of the shares from the stock market, effectively takes Manchester United back to being a private company, and clearly makes all the decisions, or his advisors make all of the decisions. Mm-hmm. From what appears to be the case in relation to the Ratcliffe bid, he...
Now, watch this space now, what he's saying.
All of the shares, he's going to buy enough shares that will give him 51% of the votes. Now, 51% of the votes is important because it allows you to appoint the board of directors. So in theory, he could kick out all of the Glazers, or it could be that as part of the sale contract, 2 of the Glazers are allowed to stay on the board. Does that mean that they're making decisions? No, it isn't. Does it mean that their voice is heard when decisions are being made? Yes, it does. So, it's a bit like if you go out with the missus and you're deciding where to go on holiday, you have a viewpoint, she has a viewpoint, and then you agree with what she says.
That's anyone that can relate to that story is that, anyone that's married knows that, you think you're the boss wearing the pants, but at the end of the day, whatever she says, she gets. That's the thing. So basically what Kieran is saying here, like, even, if you appoint the structure that 51% is owned by, Sir Jim Rattcliffe, and the remaining will be Joel and Avram and the siblings kind of thing. They still don't have any voting power, but they have influential right to vote things down, if you know what I mean. And at the end of the day, if you put that in the sales contract, what they're negotiating back and forward with, what would be the premium earnout clause within 3 years. And that is kind of confusing, and that is kind of delaying things. There's a lot of if, buts and maybes. We don't like big buts. We just like, do it, right?
So it works like any relationship, and that would be the case with I think the proposals that are coming through. That if you've got 51%, you can appoint the majority of the board of directors in all probability, and that means that, let's say we've got 7 people on the board. Jim Rattcliffe has the right to appoint 4 of them. The other 3, you might have a non-executive, you might have 2 Glazers, and then decisions are made on a majority basis. So
that's absolutely 100% correct in any mergers of acquisition. Like, when you have 51%, you have the power to appoint your board of directors, sit there because at the end of the day, you're sitting in a boardroom and you need to have the people that will vote and push through your agendas, what you want. Similar like in the parliament, Jarvis, like, if you go take any parliament, when you're voting for a bill, the more people you have on your side to pass through the bill, the better. But there will always be those 4 or 5 that's from the enemy side that will kind of vote against you. Does that make any sense in a layman's term, Jarvis?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, cool.
Ultimately, Jim Rattcliffe's views will always be the ones which I go through. I can imagine from the perspective of a Manchester United fan, just the very thought of having a Glazer family member involved in decision making is pretty repugnant. But it's their voices being heard rather than them, calling the shots. And I think that's the main difference compared to where we are as present. In terms of could it be a compulsory deal, the way the options work is that it will say that up to the 30th of June 2025, Sir Jim Rattcliffe can force the Glazers to sell shares for $30 a point. And also up to that date, the Glazers, in theory, can force Sir Jim to buy them. So it works a sort of on a compulsory basis.
Basically, what is a theory. It's not realistic what's going on. So in theory, because Kieran is a football expert and, financial experts in football, I do respect him, but it's giving you theoretical examples, like, that's not 100%, But in theory, what he's saying here is that, Sir Jim Rattcliffe can force the Glazers to sell up by 2025, and vice versa as well, with the Glazers want to say, buy us out now, we need cash money right now. Hope that understands. Let's continue
on both ways. And then it could be that in 2026 that might go up to $32, 2027, and then the whole thing could change.
But that's all speculative, because everything with the stock market is driven by speculations, right? It is like you've been giving some seeds to grow a potato farm, right? It all depends on the weather, like, if it's going to be fruitful, if it's going to be a lot of rain and sunshine, and eventually if you're giving a lot of that nutrition, it's going to become a whole potato farm at the end of the day. But we never know. We cannot control the weather. And same thing with speculations in the stock market, because the stock market at the moment, it is what it is right now. We have the financial crisis, biggest that we've seen since 2008. There's uncertainty, unprecedented times, plus a potential like hot war looming in the world. We all seen the craziness and madness, what's going on. So yes, there's a very good risk in this as well.
It could lapse. So without seeing clearly it's private and confidential, and the lawyers and the bankers and the.
So worth to mention is he said without seeing it. So he's just applying his expertise, kind of a little bit of theoretical view on it.
Accountants will be all over it, but that's broadly the type of thing that could arise, and it is quite common to have these sort of type of earnouts, as sometimes
yeah, it is. I've been reporting this for quite a while, people as well. It's very, very common when you come out to the earnout clause in the final negotiations, is to say that if I'm buying out all your shares, what will be the premium price? Like, we saw that with Elon Musk, for instance, when he bought Twitter for $56.4 US. It was $10 over the share valuation, right? And when he bought it, the stock went down, and then hit the reset and went up again after, a year or so. So this is very common practice, that if you're buying shares and you're buying the assets. So keep in mind that Manchester United PLC owns assets like land banks and stuff like that. That's very lucrative as well. So that's all part of the deal.
To in many other businesses, especially for a club such as Manchester United, which doesn't want to promote itself as a football club, it wants to be seen as part of the entertainment industry or part of the tech industry, and that's why the Glazers are digging their heels in.
Speculations,
Ratcliffe and the Glazers kind of
speculation.
Has the right to appoint 4 of them. It is quite common to have these sort of type of earnouts, as sometimes referred to, in
I just want to come out that exactly what I mentioned. There's always something that that we don't know that's hanging around. Like there was the Super League, that was what the Glazers were looking to hang around. But of course, there's been some disputes of Super League. Now everyone is looking at Premier League to say Premier League is actually this Super League. There might be something there, right? We have the best managers in place. We're getting the best players playing in the league. We have the most expansive, fast-flowing football in the league. We've seen that Serie A is dying out. Like we've seen that La Liga is dying out. So there might be something in the background that we don't know about, right? So, and plus this new technology coming out that
in many other businesses, especially for a club such as Manchester United, which doesn't want to promote itself as a football club. It wants to be seen as part of the entertainment industry or part of the tech industry, and that's why the Glazers are digging their heels in.
Now we're back
Apple,
on track.
for example, Apple is supposed to be introducing today some sort of virtual reality headset. Now, Manchester United make around about 250 million pounds a year from TV. Manchester United claim to have a fan base of 1.1 billion fans. If you can get 1% of Manchester United's fan base to pay a tenner a match, that's 100 million pounds.
Yes.
You do that 20 times a season, you've got 2 billion. And if you're watching the match on one of these VR headsets, you can be in K-stand, you can be in the center circle, you can look, you can observe the match from, even they'll start to embed cameras into players' shirts, so you'll be able to have a Bruno version of the match, seeing the match effectively through his eyes, and they will pitch that, and they will try to sell those rights and keep those rights. And if that is the case, people buy into that technology. Manchester United becomes a very, very, very attractive proposition because.
But at the end of the day, we've seen that with 3D stuff and technology. I'm frightened by this. People will walk around like zombies at the end of the day, going on the street, and people have these VR glasses walking around like. It's frightening, right? But the technology is getting here with AI technology and the VRs, right? That you can sit there on the stand watching Manchester United stand. You can pay. You say, I want to sit on the K stand. I want to sit on Stretford end. I want to see the vision from Bruno, But it's far-fetched from now because this is kind of new technology. We're talking about 3 years down the timeline to make it embedded. So that's the thing. Maybe they're digging the hills because they know something, but ain't matter, because right now we have financial crisis, we have bidders coming in. Make up your mind, right? Plus, and this is why I believe that the Qatari side is offering them broadcasting rights as well, like with the NFL that's been coming out in reports, right? So I don't know if you do like. I'm scared about this technology, but to be honest, it is scary as it is because people are always hanging on the phones all the time. But now you're gonna have it like this. And I saw the video, Jarvis. It's like you can control everything with your eye and point and select. And I don't know. We're all gonna be like Terminators, at the end of the day.
I don't think we should fear it. I'm a tech nerd myself, so
I love it. But
using XRM glasses or VR glasses, so I don't see a problem with it because I don't think people will walk with them in the streets. And if technology has their time and evolve after a while, they will be the size
like
of my
this.
glasses.
Yeah, transparent.
So,
But then you're gonna see people going like this, chasing mosquitoes, like doing like this.
No. You control it with your eyes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, people. Excuse us. This is us having a little bit of a banter in between us. Anyway,
it's got this huge global fan base, but we've been there before with 3D TV, and that didn't work. Although that could be argued that sort of old school media trying to introduce something new. So that's why the Glazers are reluctant to sell, because they feel that there's good times around the corner in terms of the ability to.
But again, that's a theory, right? That's guesswork. It doesn't mean that it is so. People that's why nobody knows. But of course, if there's technology in the corner, Super League was there. But it's just not now in terms of product launch, right? This Apple thing was released yesterday. It's just fresh on the market. It's beta version. It's going to be at least 3 years, and it's fully embedded in the market.
Release people's pockets. But we've been saying that for the last 20 years, and nobody's managed to do it.
That's true. Big up.
Yeah.
Final question, though.
That 1.1 billion number, I think there's been loads of reports about whether it's basically if you just recognise the badge or whatever it is. But this idea of, this gigantic number of potential, basically, targets for sale, isn't it? We can sell something to this many people. At some point, that could go from United making a few hundred million a year
Big up, Joe.
to United making a few billion a year or tens of billions a year if, like you said, these things proliferate the way that potentially they could. I've got sort of two questions. I'll start with the first one, but just on this relationship between Ratcliffe and the Glazers, which obviously I think for most or almost all United fans is not ideal. No one wants that, where the Glazers are sticking around in any capacity. The first question is, why would Jim Rattcliffe allow that to happen? Because he knows, he must have had people tell him that United fans aren't going to like this. That is not going to go down well. Is it and in my head, there's two options as to why he would want to do that. One is it's the best way to win the bidding war, that offering them what they want to be able to stay on is the only way he's going to win. Or two, he doesn't have enough money to buy them out completely by himself.
Boom.
Are either of those things true? Do you think it's a mixture? Why is he going to allow, or is there a...
The truth is in the middle. The truth is both, to be honest. And that was very good answer. There was a very good journalistic question of you, Joe Smith. Big up to all of you. Big up to the paddock.
Rumour that he would allow the Glazers to stay on in any capacity when he presumably knows United fans don't want that to happen.
Apoteket finns här för dig.
So, what do you think? That was I leave that question because I didn't want to have Kieran's answer, right? That is what the end of the day, So the answer is in the middle, to be honest. We covered everything. We covered all the media spin. We covered everything. We covered to all the bidders. At the end of the day, it comes down to money. That's all it is, people. All money. So big up for all of you that have been watching. I've not been able to look at the. You have a question, right?
No, not a question. Just to say thank you, Fatty, because he's gifted 10 memberships.
What? Yeah. He's gifted 10 members. Yeah. Big up to you, Fatty. Thank you. I don't mean to call you Fatty ever again. Skinny Fatty. Skinny Fatty. Big up for all of you in the community. New, old, you're all welcome because we are trying to provide the voice of reasoning. Alien Tano, thank you so much for your donation, sir. With your super chat. Glazers are playing with fire. Just leave rats. Yeah. Here's the thing, Alien Tano. Here's the thing. It doesn't make sense what Joe left with that comment, right? What would the fan base do, right? Why would you do that as Ratcliffe to go in bed with the enemy, right? Why would you do that? It's going to be worse. It's just swapping candy for ice cream, right? If you're on a diet, it's just the same thing, isn't it, right? You're just going to end up with paper on the ice cream as well, extra wrapping. So that if he thinks that that's going to be a winning bid, just expect the protest to be louder and louder. And let's not forget about the FA Cup and Sky Sports censoring all the green and gold banners, cutting out all the chants. Stewards forbidding to even have the green and gold. So who's involved in that as well? Who's in control? It's all out there, people. It's just all out there. So big up, Alien Tenno, man. Thank you. Jamie Van, hello from a November. Welcome to the family, guys. Yes, Jamie's one of our loyal moderators. Big up to you, Jamie, as well. I hope you are calm. City, Newcastle, maybe United being Middle Eastern owned. Could we see Premier League games being played in the Middle East? Potentially. We don't know, Alien 10, is what we said here. There's a lot of things that are going on in the background that is beyond our consumers' knowledge. So there could be, definitely there's going to be some deals playing in the Middle East, because if you look at it from Qatar's perspective, they did invest billions and billions in in their infrastructure in the build-up of Qatar, metro stadiums. So they want to continue doing that, hosting NBAs, cricket, football, everything. So that could be a possibility, 100%, right? It's been also reported they're going to start doing NFL, right, in Qatar as well. So Buccaneers can come there and play on the stadium. That means the Glazer can have the broadcasting right over in America. And that's big money, right? So very lucrative deals would be in sports for etc. So thank you, Alien Tenno, as well. wow, it's so many people in the house here, so many people watching. I usually don't do this live. I'm usually done this 10, 15 minutes, pre-recorded messages. But today I just felt pissed off. I just felt like, it has to come out, right? It has to. Everything needs to come out from what's going on around the sales deal, who's profiting. And at the end of the day, like, as I said, if you ask me who's going to win the bid, you know my answer, right? Do I have to say it? No, I'm not.
Nah.
Does it going to be on Friday announcement what they're saying? Should be. Should be, because we're coming to the middle of June, and the transfer market is starting. So it could be that they have already agreed. I'm just saying could be, because I'm not going to commit myself to say 100%, if you know what I mean. Leave yourself with some wiggling rooms. Fans need to tell Jim Rattcliffe to withdraw 100%, take over only. Yeah, but Red or Dead, like, if you sorry, this is me gonna go on a rant now. So people, close your ears if you're under 15, because this might be a little bit of X-rated. But if you're 70 years of age, you might have, you want to have some fun. You don't want to pull out because the only way you take is a Viagra pill, if you know what I mean. So why, get out of the party when you're having fun, right? And you kind of singing towards your dying end of the career. So at the end of the day, you could pull out, and you could have used this as a PR stunt to say that, I tried and I got a bloody tooth, and I'm going to go buy another Premier League club. And that's why we're saying you can go to Liverpool or Spurs to buy them out, but not Manchester United. That was just my personal random opinion. The 92 Foundation want to buy players. Jim Rattcliffe wants to buy us with more debt on the club. Yeah, 100%. That's what our analysis is saying too. Red or Dead. Sharon Begley, I still believe Qatar will win. You see this? That's what I'm saying. All roads leads to Doha. It's always been my podcast. I mean, I never had a favorite, because I had to do the forensic. I have to look at both bidders, like, comparing both bidders and what they're offering. And then you have to look at the finances. And then as a fan, make a conclusion. And as a fan, understanding how this is all being played out. Like, I want what's best for the club. And that's where I'm not biased to say that I want Qatar, like, But if you asked me about 2 years ago, I would take any bid.
Yeah.
Hopefully this will be resolved soon, though I doubt it. John, this is the $1 million question that it's beyond. Everyone has no Scooby-Doo, including myself. I know up to now where it's been going, but I don't. This is who's deciding when, what. We all know that Glazers have never been quick on announcing anything in terms of the. If you take a theory like the transfer market, the deal might have been done 1 week ago, but the delayed press release 1 week after to create that tension could be the same theory here as well, because this is the Glazer PR machine, right? Cool. Next.
Yeah. Let's see. Here we are. One.
Angie, one of our members, big up to you. I've been begging on Twitter for people who live anywhere near the Glazers and our Manchester United fans to do the bit and help with the protesting.
Yes.
The way we can do a protest, like, me and Jarvis were sitting here when we had live protest. We were the only channel to broadcast this live, to offer a platform where you could protest wherever you are in the world, because nobody else did it. We covered live. We had live pictures, people calling in, stuff like that. But my idea is to say, and if you're going to do next protest, why don't we just, as a fan base, because I believe in US you have a big fan base, in Malaysia and Indonesia have big, we can synchronize this protest, be even louder, right? Not only in Manchester, not only in London or whatever. We can do a combined, at the same time, a big boom, right? And then media will come out with cameras to say, peacefully, of course, and media can come out and say, oh, what's going on here? Why are people protesting here? And then you cannot avoid this Glazers out chance. It's just right. I don't know. That's just a crazy creative idea, though, because we tried everything, but still, like, you can attack the sponsors. Hey fellas, Gaming Simp, how you doing? Gaming Simp, good to see you, mate. How you all doing? How you doing? Emmanuel, please sell us. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Prince Ada said, welcome Qatar. God. Sorry, I didn't mean to neglect you guys. It's I've been here just trying to control everything, collecting cool thoughts, just to try to calm myself down. You never see me angry, but when I'm angry, I'm really, really, I get really angry. Lucky Singh saying, Darcy Brian Edward joined clothes business. Yes, clothers business. Cool. But anyway, what are you guys thinking? I mean, at the end of the day, what we're doing here. Your nickname is Fatty, so please call me cool. Okay, Fatty, skinny Fatty.
Paddy.
Fatty. Big up to you. So at the end of the day, whatever I'm saying here, it's my personal belief and my findings, and speaking to a lot of people. I tend to do that traditional journalism the way it used to be, that I present you with, alternative 1, alternative 2, and the truth is in the middle. Like, it's up to you to decide, right? So it's Lampard then. It's Lampard the buyer. So no, you get the point. So the purpose of this podcast is always to give you an educational platform and voice of reasoning, right? To break things down, because it's something that media is not doing. It's called lazy journalism, right? So the only thing that we live on is your clicks and likes in order to keep growing as a channel. And of course, we just hit 13Ks and we've been up and running for 10 months in the midst of the Glazers protest and in the midst of appointing Eric Ten Hag as the manager. So we've grown with Eric and we're going places. So hopefully, as a positive fan base, we like to bring positivity back into the fan base again and bring happiness to football again. So all good, Mick. Very informative show, and you always interact with the chat. And you can, when you can't, we do so with each other while watching. Yes, entertain yourself while I'm chatting. This is the beautiful community that's. I'm so happy. Yesterday I did post something that, or was it this morning? I can't remember. Like, I couldn't believe my eyes. I opened up to 13,000 members, subscribers, and it's just been surreal. And we have a growing community, always positive and supportive. The realist, I don't even have a name for you. The realist army, you know what I mean? The Red Army. The Qataris will put United back where we belong, united forever. Glory, glory, Manchester United, Prince, wherever you're calling from the world. The thing is, right, we are such a huge fan base. No segregation, no race. We're wearing the same shirt, man. We're here to be real, right? Because I travel a lot, wherever I go, I wear my Manchester United shirt, and you always meet people that are wearing the same jersey. And every time I meet somebody, hey, how you going, man? Good team, man. Good, wow. And so how's it going? Who's going to be? You have that chat, and this is a big community. It's not like City; they have empty hat, right? They have no fans. I seldom see like people coming with City shirts, but I see a lot of Manchester United, Liverpool fan. Rizwan Khalid, Mick, what news is on Matt Lawton? Yeah, I covered that. God, I go back. I'm not going to go there because Matt Lawton has been going on a madness as well, to say like, exclusivity bid and stuff like that. He's got no Scooby-Doo. So if you do want to go back after this podcast, go see what I've said about all of this. Social media is the best way to get the Glazers. What can they do? Block you? No, true that. But there's certain people that was blocking all of us United fans for, we are criticizing his articles to say, why you're writing like this, instead of being confrontative and say, like, come and speak to us. He blocks everyone, right? And that's freedom of speech cancellations. And unfortunately, we live in that world at the moment, which is very scary. Like, you're not allowed to express your thoughts. You're not allowed to, say opinions, and everything that you say against a person, you will be blocked and shamed, right? Or taken off as irrelevant. So, have been following you, Mick. Really love your channel. I am big fan from Ghana. Big up for Africa. Big up for Ghana.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Fantastic. That's pretty much what I wanted to share with you today. But if you want to call in, have a say, let us know. I've shared some link with people. I guess that most of you are just happy to listen in at the end of the day. I wasn't supposed to do this today, Jarvis. We had other plans to do transfer show today, but this just popped up and I was bombarded, and I said, enough is enough, right? So what can we draw in conclusion, Jarvis? What did we learn from this podcast today?
You shouldn't believe the news. Basically, it's a lot of fear-mongering and tabloid stuff at the moment.
Yeah. And what else?
you share the slide. Time to say goodbye.
True.
Time to say goodbye.
Yeah, Glazers should hand over the keys very soon. Every financial expert out there in the market has predicted the same. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry is saying the same. There's no way the Glazers can stay, barring the financial situation what they are in. They tried everything. They tried to do deals with Ratcliffe, and at the end of the day, what comes down to is what? How much money should I get in my pocket? So Darcy Glazer can go out and go for a Barbados holiday, stay there for a year or two. Her grandkids, everyone will be fat and happy, and they didn't invest one single penny. They inherited this with a golden spoon from the father, right? So it comes down to, at the end of the day, having six siblings quarreling about their cake. We all broken down how many percentage they have. It comes down with a milli percentage. If one holds 1.5 or something more, it comes down to money at the end of the day. So if one thing we know about the Glazers, they care about the money, right? They kept using us for 18 months to take the dividends out as pocket money to feed the old six siblings, right? That was the only purpose they did. It was voted down. There was no dividends coming up more from the club. Stop. You cannot do this anymore. It was voted down with no vote of confidence from the board members. You're not taking any penny out. Bada bing, bada boom. End of the road for the Glazers. They kicked the can as far as they could. Took those 18 years to get to this point. So if we can have a little bit more patience, if you waited 18 years, wait a few more days. Keep it calm, keep it composed, and don't follow the Pied Piper's tunes, because at the end of the day, you will fall down the cliff, and be aware of your mental health as well, right? At this moment, I'm getting messages, any news, any updates, any news, like, hey, I'm not an aggregator. I'm a fan like you as well. But just keep it cool, composed, and good things will come. You know, come what may. I'm finding this channel to be more informative than entertaining you and than any other YouTube channel. Thank you, sir. How do I respond to that? Well, why be like everyone else if you can do something different? If you can provide a voice of reasoning, if you can provide an engagement with fans all over the world without any elitism, because that's what we is. We are real. We are realist TV. Like, we keep it real, like, and thank you. It's very humbling. I don't know. There's kind of reason why Fatty, please give Angie MUFC mod. Yes, we will. That's Jarvis's job.
Already done it.
Already
Welcome
done it.
as moderator, Angie.
And Fatty, anyone that wants to get involved, become a moderator, help out our growth, you're more than welcome. Anyone is welcome on this platform. Anytime you want to have a say, we are here together, right? And having that, we should probably give you back the day. That's a rhyme. Have a say, give you back the day, because nobody wanted to come in and have a say. I hope it's been very informative. And thank you, Jarvis, for coming in and supporting me as well. It's time to say goodbye. Hopefully on Friday, we'll, as what media say, deadline Friday, I don't know. But again, out to the media again to say fifth bid, but the fifth bid was also proven in the article going back in middle of May. And technically, in that case, they should have written sixth bid. Again, cool. I hope I didn't miss any of your interesting chats. For everyone that's been watching, Jonathan Liljeberg, god afton. Hur mår du? Allt bra? Från Stockholm, Sverige, jag vet inte var du är ifrån. Men okay, we speak many languages in this channel as well. So Jarvis speaks Norwegian, speaks Swedish, I speak multiple languages. Culture is all it is. I've been rambling a lot, Jarvis. Where can people find you? In Norway?
You can find me on Twitter, Bole77, BOLE77, and I try to follow back and support everybody on Twitter.
Yeah, I have to enlarge you because your handles is kind of blocked by the Glazer outside, but that's a good thing. Hang on, I'm just going to zoom you in. Hang on. So there you go, Jarvis Cocker at Bowley. No, you don't have it.
No, I don't have it. Bole, BOLE77.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter. I try to follow back. And you can find me on this channel, and you can find me on Nuruddin's channel, Therapy
Yeah,
Army.
Mr. Structure, yes. Mr.
Yeah.
Therapy Army. We up here, we collaborate with Therapy Army, and we're also helping out the Pig, the
Flying Pig United
Flying
HD.
Pig United HD. So we did a cracking show on Monday. We gassed it up. Got 10 out of 10 from Joe Pig, who's Flying Pig, whose mother passed away. So we're probably going to do something with the Flying Pig as well to keep his channel going as well. So yeah, you're from Skåne.
Skåne.
Skåne from Malmö. Nej, du är från Lund. Yeah, från Lund. Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. So I'm speechless. Lots of love from this community, from new and old. I do want to see a resolution. As this is me speaking as a fan, I'm tired of this shit, to be honest. Just hand over the freaking pig. Much love to Piggy as well. Yeah, guys. Lots of love to the Flying Pig, Joe. His mother passed away on the day on the FA Cup as well. So we are here to support him. First and primarily, that's what we do here. We collaborate, we support. So if we're going to do a channel, I don't know, we were waiting for information if we're going to do anything with Piggy, and so we're going to run that show as well. So Piggy, if you're watching, big up to all of you, to you and your family. We got your back covered, mate. So it's time to say goodbye, isn't it?
Yeah.
Until next time, people, enjoy your day and night. True, time to say goodbye. Guys, this has been Mick Ruby. I hope you find this informative. Thank you for all your support, for the moderators. Jarvis, thanks for coming in, supporting me with the chat room. Next time, come and have a say, but we have to give you back the day. Green and gold until we sold, not Todd Bowley. No, it's true, not Todd Bowley, guys. Right, big up to all of you. Have a good evening, and we should see you very, very soon. Keep you updated as soon as we hear something. Jarvis, big up to all of you. Big up to everyone. Thank you for all the support. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC Release TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.